Secrets lie hidden in the quiet temples of Japan, guarded for centuries by those who understood the true power of the mind. And today, we journey into a technique so elusive it has been called forbidden, yet its effects ripple quietly through the lives of those who practice it. This is not magic, nor a shortcut to instant power. It is a disciplined mastery of thought, focus, and self-awareness, honed through centuries of patient practice. Few have dared to speak of it, and even fewer have truly understood it. In this video, you will uncover the principles that allowed ancient masters to harness their minds like a finely tuned instrument. You will learn the subtle rituals that sharpen concentration, dissolve mental clutter, and awaken a clarity that seems almost otherworldly. We will explore forgotten practices that blend the wisdom of Shaolin discipline with Japanese mindfulness, revealing insights that are rarely shared outside of hidden scrolls and quiet dojo halls. By the end of this journey, you will not only understand the technique, but also see how it can shape your daily life, transforming ordinary moments into opportunities for self-mastery. Every moment of focus, every breath taken with intention, carries the echoes of centuries of disciplined practice. The path is subtle, the results profound, and the knowledge rare. You will witness how the mind, once disciplined, can influence not only perception, but action, decision, and the very rhythm of life. True mastery begins not in the body, but in the quiet corners of the mind, where stillness is rare and thought often drifts like autumn leaves in the wind. The journey toward mental mastery traces its roots across distant lands, where the teachings of Japan and Shaolin intertwine like the branches of an ancient tree. In the mountains and temples of both cultures, monks discovered that control over the mind was the foundation of control over life itself. Through disciplined practice, they learned that clarity emerges not from chasing distractions, but from observing them without attachment, like water reflecting the sky. Shaolin monks cultivated their awareness through rigorous physical and meditative routines, training the body as a mirror for the mind. Every movement, every stance became a lesson in patience, precision, and unwavering focus. In parallel, Japanese traditions emphasized mindfulness in daily life, teaching that even the simplest actions, pouring tea, walking along a garden path, or tending to a bonsai, were exercises in presence and self-discipline. These teachings converged on a single truth: the mind, when trained, shapes reality itself. Ancient masters understood that chaos in the mind leads to chaos in action. They designed practices to cultivate resilience, allowing the practitioner to remain calm in the storm, deliberate in decision, and steady in the face of uncertainty. Breath became a tool to anchor attention, repetition a method to ingrain awareness into the very fibers of the body, and stillness a doorway to insight. In this intersection of Shaolin rigor and Japanese subtlety, the foundations of mental mastery were laid, not as a spectacle of power, but as a quiet, enduring strength that grows only through patient effort, reflection, and disciplined awareness. The mind is a garden, vast and fertile, yet often left untended. Each thought is a seed, carrying within it the potential to bloom into clarity, strength, or distraction, confusion, and unrest. Ancient masters observed this, understanding that the quality of one's life is inseparable from the quality of the mind's cultivation. A wandering mind, like an overgrown garden, becomes entangled with weeds of fear, anger, and doubt, choking the growth of insight and peace. Only through deliberate attention can the seeds of wisdom, patience, and focus take root and flourish. Discipline is the gentle hand of the gardener, guiding where energy flows and what receives nourishment. Through mindfulness and practice, the mind learns to recognize which seeds to water and which to let fade. Even a single moment of awareness, choosing to pause before reacting, observing a thought without surrendering to it, shapes the landscape of the inner world. Over time, these small acts of attention create a garden of harmony, where clarity arises naturally and the turbulence of unchecked emotion finds stillness. The ancients taught that mastery is not the removal of all weeds, but the skill to tend the mind with care and consistency. Just as a garden reflects the patience and intention of its gardener, so too does the mind mirror the discipline of its owner. The practice is subtle, yet transformative. The seeds of mindfulness and focus grow silently, creating strength, resilience, and inner peace. In this understanding, the mind is not an enemy to be conquered, but a living space to be nurtured, a place where discipline, awareness, and intention guide the growth of every thought, shaping a life aligned with clarity, purpose, and calm. Breath is the silent river that carries the mind through each moment, yet it is often taken for granted, flowing unnoticed while thoughts race and emotions stir. Ancient masters understood that mastery of the breath is mastery of the self, for the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation mirrors the state of the mind. When the breath is shallow or erratic, the mind becomes scattered, pulled by fear, desire, or distraction. When the breath is steady and conscious, the mind finds clarity, and even the heaviest burdens of emotion begin to dissolve. In the quiet halls of monasteries, monks would sit for hours, focusing solely on the rise and fall of their breath. Each inhale a moment of awareness, each exhale a release of tension and attachment. Through this practice, the breath became more than a bodily function. It became a bridge to presence, a tool to anchor the mind to what is real and enduring. Even in moments of turmoil, returning attention to the breath restores balance, creating a space where reflection replaces reaction and intention replaces impulse. Simple conscious breathing can be practiced anywhere, yet its effects are profound. Pausing to notice a single inhalation, to follow it fully into the body and then release it slowly, trains the mind to inhabit the present. Over time, this practice strengthens the ability to remain calm amid chaos, to see situations clearly, and to act with deliberate purpose. Breath is both guide and teacher, revealing the state of the mind while offering the power to transform it. In this understanding, awareness is not forced or chased. It arises naturally through the gentle discipline of attention, rooted in something as simple yet as profound as the breath that sustains life itself. There is a quiet strength in simply observing without the need to change, label, or resist. Ancient masters spoke of the mind as a river, flowing with thoughts and emotions, and taught that the path to mastery begins not with control, but with witnessing. To watch the mind without judgment is to step back from the ceaseless chatter and allow each thought, each feeling to arise and pass naturally. In this space of observation, the mind finds freedom from its own impulses, and the weight of unnecessary attachment begins to lift. In practice, witnessing is not detachment from life, but a deep engagement with it. When a thought of anger surfaces, one notes it simply as anger. When fear arises, it is seen as fear, not as a command to act or a reflection of weakness. By naming nothing, resisting nothing, the mind learns to recognize patterns without being trapped by them. This is the essence of emotional clarity. Understanding arises when reactions are no longer automatic, when the mind no longer confuses the signal with the noise. Discipline is required, for the habit of judgment is deep and habitual. Yet with patience, observation becomes effortless, a natural posture of the mind. Like a still pond reflecting the sky, emotions and thoughts appear clearly without distortion, and insight emerges quietly, without struggle. Ancient teachers knew that this skill is the foundation of inner freedom. It allows a person to respond to life from wisdom rather than from habit, to move with calm clarity through challenges. Witnessing transforms the ordinary act of thinking into a practice of self-mastery, revealing the profound truth that the mind, when seen without attachment, is not a force to be tamed, but a landscape to be known. Great mastery often grows in silence, hidden within the smallest of actions. unnoticed yet profound. Ancient traditions teach that the mind is shaped not by grand gestures or sudden epiphanies, but by consistent, deliberate practice in the micro moments of daily life. Each small choice, each brief pause carries within it the potential to strengthen awareness, sharpen focus, and cultivate resilience. The ripple of these tiny actions accumulates over time, transforming the mind in ways that dramatic efforts alone cannot achieve. Consider the simple act of a daily 5-minute meditation. Alone, it may seem insignificant, easily overlooked amidst the demands of the day. Yet, practiced consistently, it rewires the mind, reinforcing patterns of calm, clarity, and disciplined attention. The breath becomes steadier, thoughts less chaotic, and the ability to respond to challenges with composure grows naturally. Ancient masters likened this to chiseling a stone. One gentle, repeated stroke is enough to gradually reveal the form hidden within. Micro moments extend beyond formal practice. Each choice to pause before reacting, to observe rather than judge, to focus on one task fully, is an opportunity to nurture mental strength. These moments, seemingly ordinary, are in fact the seeds of lasting mastery. The discipline lies not in the difficulty of the task, but in the commitment to repeat it with awareness and intention. Over time, the mind becomes a garden tended patiently, where resilience and insight flourish quietly, imperceptibly, yet undeniably. Through attention to these subtle, deliberate acts, one learns that the path to mastery is woven from countless micro moments, each a step toward a mind both disciplined and free. True clarity arises in silence, where the mind is no longer pulled in 100 directions at once. In the teachings of Zen and Shaolin, stillness is not emptiness, but a form of power, a deliberate pause that allows insight to surface and wisdom to guide action. The mind, when constantly busy, becomes a storm, obscuring judgment and blurring perception. Through the practice of stillness, one learns to step out of that storm, to observe without being swept away, and to act from a place of centered awareness rather than reactive impulse. Techniques to cultivate stillness are deceptively simple, yet profoundly effective. Sitting quietly, focusing on the breath, or attending fully to a single movement or sound trains the mind to settle. Walking slowly, listening intently, or observing a single object with unwavering attention draws the scattered energy inward. Over time, the relentless chatter of the mind softens, and a space emerges where thoughts no longer dominate, but instead serve. In this space, decisions arise with clarity, actions flow naturally, and the pressure of uncertainty loses its grip. The ancient masters understood that stillness is not the absence of thought, but the mastery of it. Like a lake reflecting the sky, a still mind mirrors reality with precision, revealing patterns, solutions, and truths that the restless mind cannot see. Each moment of quiet practice strengthens the ability to respond to life with discernment and calm, transforming ordinary decisions into acts of conscious choice. Mental stillness becomes both a refuge and a tool, a disciplined practice that cultivates inner freedom, sharpens perception, and allows one to navigate the complexities of life with confidence and serenity. Discipline is the silent architect of the self, shaping not only actions but the very patterns of thought that guide them. In the traditions of Shaolin, mastery begins with the body, for the body is the first teacher of the mind. Every stance held, every movement repeated, every early hour of practice instills a subtle strength, transforming instinct into intention. The novice may stumble, distracted by impulses and desires, but through patient repetition, these impulses are gradually recognized, understood, and refined into conscious choice. The connection between body and mind is profound. In Shaolin training, the rigorous routines of martial forms and meditation are inseparable. The discipline exercised physically trains the mind to remain focused, resilient, and aware. A single controlled movement teaches patience, a practiced posture fosters endurance, a mindful breath shapes attention. Over time, this integration of body and mind builds a foundation where self-mastery is no longer a concept, but a lived experience. Actions become deliberate, reactions measured, and thought aligned with intention. Discipline does not demand perfection, only persistence. Each repeated effort, whether in training, meditation, or mindful living, strengthens the neural pathways that connect impulse to awareness. Gradually, habits of distraction and reactivity dissolve, replaced by patterns of reflection and discernment. This is the essence of self-mastery, the ability to act not from whim or habit, but from a grounded awareness cultivated through consistent, mindful effort. The ancient masters knew that true freedom arises not from external power, but from the quiet command of one's own mind and body, a discipline that, once embraced, transforms every aspect of life into a practice of conscious, intentional living. The mind holds a remarkable power. It can travel through time, rehearse actions, and shape outcomes long before the body moves. Ancient masters understood this, teaching that visualization is not mere imagination, but a disciplined tool to prepare for life's challenges. By envisioning a task, a confrontation, or a moment of choice, the mind begins to map the pathways of action, strengthening neural patterns that guide calm, decisive response. In this way, rehearsal becomes practice and practice becomes mastery. Visualization begins with stillness, eyes closed, attention inward. Each detail of the imagined scenario is brought to life. The sounds, the movements, the rhythm of breath, the flow of thought. The mind experiences success, focus, and composure, training itself to respond with clarity rather than reaction. Shaolin monks and Japanese warriors alike use such techniques, preparing for both battle and meditation, recognizing that mastery of the inner world dictates mastery of the outer. The subtle act of mental rehearsal builds resilience, reduces hesitation, and shapes confidence, even before the first physical step is taken. Consistency deepens the effect. Repeating these visualizations daily conditions the mind to expect calm, deliberate action in real life. Challenges that once sparked fear or doubt are met with a quiet steadiness because the mind has already traveled that path, guided by intention and focus. Success, once imagined, becomes familiar, and the mind responds with practiced ease. Ancient wisdom teaches that the boundaries between thought and reality are permeable. What is first mastered internally shapes the outer world. In this way, visualization and mental rehearsal are not escapes, but tools of inner discipline, cultivating a mind capable of navigating life's uncertainties with foresight, composure, and conscious mastery. True mastery unfolds slowly, like the quiet growth of a forest or the steady rise of a mountain over centuries. Ancient teachings emphasize that the mind cannot be rushed, for each moment of practice lays a foundation that will support future strength. Patience is not idle waiting, but an active cultivation of awareness, discipline, and resilience. The effort may seem invisible, the changes imperceptible, yet with each deliberate action, the mind is shaped, sharpened, and fortified. The growth of bamboo offers a perfect illustration. For years, its roots spread silently beneath the soil, establishing a network strong enough to support the towering stalks that will later rise rapidly toward the sky. Similarly, mental mastery requires time and persistent attention. Every moment spent in meditation, reflection, or disciplined practice strengthens the roots of focus, clarity, and self-control. The progress is often unseen, and the mind may feel stagnant, but beneath the surface, profound transformation is taking place. This understanding cultivates patience, teaching that frustration arises only when one measures growth by immediate results. True strength is measured not in fleeting achievements, but in the stability, resilience, and composure that develop over time. Ancient masters knew that those who hurried risked shallow understanding, while those who embraced steady, consistent effort built a foundation that could endure any challenge. By honoring time and respecting the gradual process of growth, the practitioner learns to flow with life rather than resist it, cultivating inner mastery with quiet persistence. In this way, patience and time become allies, shaping a mind capable of deep insight, enduring strength, and the calm confidence that comes from knowing growth is always occurring, even when it cannot yet be seen. Within every mind lies a shadow, a quiet collection of fears, doubts, and desires that often go unacknowledged. Ancient teachings remind us that the shadow is not an enemy to be destroyed, but a part of the self to be understood. Ignored, it shapes behavior unconsciously, guiding choices through fear or craving rather than wisdom. Recognizing this inner landscape is an act of courage, for it requires looking directly at what is hidden, confronting impulses that are uncomfortable, and embracing truths that are easy to deny. The path of self-mastery begins with awareness. By observing the shadow without judgment, one learns to discern between instinct and intention, between reaction and choice. The Shaolin and Zen traditions often speak of this as turning the lantern inward, illuminating the dark corners of the mind. Meditation, reflection, and disciplined attention reveal patterns long overlooked, showing how anxiety, desire, or resentment have quietly guided decisions. Once seen, the shadow loses its unconscious power, allowing action to arise from clarity rather than compulsion. Confronting the shadow is not a single act but a continuous practice. Each moment of recognition, each honest reflection, weakens the hold of hidden fears and unexamined impulses. Desire no longer dictates behavior, doubt no longer paralyzes decision. The practitioner gains freedom not by erasing the shadow, but by acknowledging it, integrating its lessons, and redirecting its energy toward conscious purpose. In this process, discipline becomes a form of liberation, and the mind transforms from a landscape of unseen forces into a field of intentional action. The shadow, once feared, becomes a teacher, and the awareness cultivated through its confrontation is the foundation of true inner strength and lasting self-mastery. The forbidden technique, long shrouded in mystery, is not a shortcut or a magical trick, but a disciplined path toward mastery of the mind. Through consistent practice of mindfulness, awareness, and self-discipline, the chaos of thought begins to settle, clarity emerges, and the mind becomes a steady guide rather than a restless master. Each small, deliberate effort, whether in breath, observation, or reflection, builds the foundation for lasting inner strength and calm. As you carry these practices into your daily life, you begin to notice subtle shifts. Reactions soften, focus deepens, and moments of clarity expand. Pause and reflect. If your mind were fully under your control, how would your life change? The journey toward that control is gradual, yet every conscious step brings transformation. May this path inspire patience, presence, and quiet mastery in your life. If this exploration resonates, join us on Heng Chronicles by liking this video and subscribing, so we can continue walking together through the timeless wisdom that shapes mind, body, and spirit.